Evil can lurk in any shadow, and it sometimes walks in light, stalking and peering around corners. More often than not, evil is a person you know, a person that you'd never suspect of being involved intimately with a heinous crime. Sometimes it's the stranger you talk to at a tavern, or the mother of a beautiful baby. Sometimes nature itself can seem to be looking for blood. Worse Than Fiction is a true horror podcast that not only covers horrific crimes, but other truly terrifying situations in unfettered detail. You can find Worse Than Fiction on all major podcast platforms, including Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere else. I'll warn you though, I don't spare any details. It's not for everyone.
Welcome to Reverie True Crime. I'm your host, Paige, and today I'll be telling you the story of the disappearance of Mekayla Bali. What could have happened to this 16-year-old girl? Let's get into it. Mekayla Bali was, by all accounts, a shy, average 16-year-old high schooler who was pretty quiet, loved music and reading. She lived in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, Canada. Yorkton is a little town with a close community in Saskatchewan, and in 2016, it had less than 20,000 people living there. She was born on the 2nd of July, 1999. Paula Bali, Mekayla's mom, told Dateline, quote, "We were in the bathroom putting on our makeup, listening to tunes, talking about our day. Nothing stands out as different from that day." End quote. Friends of Mekayla's told investigators that on the 11th of August, 2016, a text message was sent to her, and she was really upset about it, to the point that she had been crying. After receiving the text, she tells her friends she just wants out of Yorkton and to move to Regina. On the 12th of April, 2016, Mekayla sent a text message to her friend Oksana at 6:41 in the morning. She asked Oksana if she would take her to the bank. Mekayla reportedly told her friend that she had $5,000 in her account. Oksana didn't take her to the bank, and when her bank account was inspected by investigators, Mekayla didn't have anywhere near that amount in it. Oksana recalls the text, quote, "Mekayla said, 'Can you take me to the bank?' I said, 'The bank doesn't open till like 8 or something,' and she texted at like 7 o'clock, so how can I take her to the bank?" End quote. Mekayla attended high school at Sacred Heart High School, and she arrived there at 8:20 that morning. After she traipsed over to her locker, approximately 6 minutes later, Mekayla vacated the school through a back door. She never skipped school, missed classes, or anything like that. She was an amazing student with incredible grades. She took it upon herself to stroll along to the bank, and this was around 8:50 to 8:55 in the morning. Oksana said, quote, "I know it was her decision, but still, I'm kind of kicking myself over it. I feel like I just should have followed her, and I should have just taken her to the bank." End quote. There was CCTV videotape that showed that she was speaking to someone on the phone. As soon as she got to the bank teller, she hung up the phone, asking the bank teller if she could take out $55 from her account. So it's now 9 o'clock that morning. Mekayla was at a pawn shop. She was there to pawn a silver ring. However, she couldn't pawn it because the pawn shop owner rejected it. It was of very low value. Even if it were of any value, she wasn't the legal age to pawn anything. 9:15 a.m., she bought a drink at a joint Wendy's and Tim Hortons, where she took a seat at a booth, sitting her backpack beside her. That was odd because she didn't carry the backpack to school. So it's suspected that she planned to run away from Yorkton. Reportedly, she was anxiously peering out of the windows and the doors. 9:23 a.m. She left through one of the two exit doors, but oddly, she came back in and proceeded to leave through the second exit door. 9:49 a.m. She was back at the joint Wendy's and Tim Hortons. She was talking to someone on the phone, but whoever she was talking to, nobody could find out who it was. She was again sitting in one of the booths, which was facing towards the entrance of the door. 10:12 a.m. She sent another text message, this time to her friend Shelby. Mekayla wrote, quote, "Hey, I need help," end quote. A little later, she texted Shelby again, saying, quote, "Never mind, I figured it out," end quote. Well, Shelby left her phone at home that day and didn't see the message until she got home. She stated, quote, "By I need help, I would have thought I need a ride somewhere, like I don't know, I need help with an assignment. I never would have thought I need help, like I'm running away and not coming back. It's a hard feeling not knowing if she's alive or not," end quote. 10:43 a.m. Mekayla approached a lady who was having a coffee, and she asked her if she would please rent a hotel room for her. The lady wouldn't do this for Mekayla, and just 2 minutes after this, she left the joint fast food place. She left while again talking on the phone. Nobody knows where Mekayla was between the times of 10:45 to 11:55 that morning. She went back to her high school around 12 that afternoon. She got with a couple of her friends, telling them that she was about to be on a bus going to Regina. It's reported that she had 2 phones while she was at school. She also sent a text out to friends that said, quote, "I'll see you at lunch," end quote. So 12:02 that afternoon, Mekayla left the school again and was seen at a bus station. She decided she wasn't going to stay there because the bus she wanted to take wasn't going to get there until 5 that afternoon. She made the decision to walk to the UFC bus station. She ordered some food at a restaurant that was inside of the bus station named Trail Stop. Sometime between 1 and 1:45 p.m., she left the bus station. At 3:40 in the afternoon, her grandmother, Margaret Niebergall, was still waiting in the parking lot for her granddaughter to come out. It's also said that it's possible she could be using her grandmother's last name, which is spelled Niebergall. Now, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Niebergall, but when Mekayla never exited the school, her grandmother went to the school to see if she was there. But teachers and schoolmates told Margaret that they had not seen her for the majority of the day. Her grandmother took off to Paula's office and told her what everyone had said to her. Paula told Dateline, quote, "Mekayla had music lessons after school. She had a recital coming up, and she had been practicing the night before," end quote. She believed Mekayla maybe went to the music class early. Paula went and checked, but Mekayla wasn't anywhere to be found. Paula thought everything was just a misunderstanding at first, and it couldn't be true that her daughter had just gone missing. She quickly started to panic. Lock your doors, check under the bed, and turn on a nightlight, because it's time for the scariest stories, history, and conversations ever heard. If you struggle to find a great, scary podcast, listen to Scary Time by Indie Drop-In and explore a new creator every week. They'll be telling you about paranormal, ghosts, monsters, hauntings, creepy places, enchanted objects, aliens, and more. Best of all, if you like the creator, you can follow them for more great content, if you dare. That's Scary Time by Indie Drop-In, wherever you stream your podcasts. Paula said, quote, "To be frankly honest, I was literally running around the school, looking under school buses, screaming her name. It was very traumatic." End quote. She also said that she couldn't get her on the phone, she was calling and texting, and she was trying not to be completely frantic. But after never showing up at home that afternoon, Paula reported her daughter missing just before 8 that evening. Mekayla's phone was officially turned off at 7 the next morning. Either the phone died or she turned it off herself. There's no evidence that Mekayla bought a bus ticket, and where she went after she left the bus station, nobody knows. In 2016, she was 5 foot 2 inches and 114 pounds. I will post her picture on my social media accounts. But since April the 12th, 2016, she has not contacted anyone. There have been many people that called in to the police to say that they've seen her, but every time authorities went looking for her at these locations, it led to dead ends and no sightings of Mekayla. Mekayla did change her Instagram bio, and it just says, "Goodbye." She had hundreds of friends and followers on her account, but she's not posted anything on it besides changing her bio. Now, 2 months before she went missing, she did post a picture of her Snapchat on one of her social media accounts, and she said, quote, "Looking for Snapchat friends because I have none in real life. Add me. Please don't be a greasy fuck and send me gross-ass nudes. Just looking for a friend." End quote. Reportedly, somebody got in touch with her, and Mekayla planned to meet whoever this was that month. It's possible she wanted to meet up with this person in Regina. The day prior to her disappearance, she told one of her friends that she wanted to take off to either Moose Jaw or Prince Albert. She had many conversations with her closest friends about wanting to live in a bigger city, such as Regina or Saskatoon. She loved the thought of the perks of living in a bigger city, but all of her friends figured this was just a teenage dream, and she would decide when she got older what she'd want to do. Mekayla was spotted with a guy who had a cross tattoo with flames, but people are pretty sure that he was only holding the door open for her, and he didn't have anything to do with her disappearance. She had also been sending texts back and forth to a guy named Christopher. She had previously told her circle of friends that they were going to hang out. Christopher was going to come to Saskatchewan to see Mekayla and his mother. That's according to Mekayla's ex. She and her ex were still friends at the time that she had told him that. The authorities actually investigated Christopher's house, but there was no proof that he was anywhere in Canada when Mekayla went missing. CBC News talked to Christopher, and he alleged that Mekayla had actually attempted to kill herself, but she had gotten better. He said in an email, quote, "All I can provide for you is that she suffered with self-harm a few years back. Back then, I was helping those who struggled, and I encouraged her to fight against self-harm and to look towards God." End quote. People did say that Mekayla's body had so many scars that were possibly from her self-harming. As so many teenagers and children do, Mekayla battled with mental health issues. Her missing persons file on Interpol's website even says there's a, quote, "fair amount of scars on her upper thigh from self-harm," end quote. Also, she was supposedly texting another guy named Josh. Police found a Josh that she was acquainted with, but she hadn't been around him in years. This certain Josh was ruled out as the Josh she was texting with. There's an app called Kik. KIK, and investigators believe that she was texting people through the Kik app. And I'm not exactly sure if you pronounce it Kik or Keek, because I am a little older and I'm not in the know. But on the app, you can keep your texts private. Sometime in April, it's suspected that she was talking to someone on Kik, and it's a possibility that she may have met up with them at some point in April. There are speculations, not concrete facts, but talk of her possibly being abducted to be used in human trafficking. That's just one of the possible options. Police in Canada have told parents Kik is utilized by predators to groom young women. The app has fewer parental controls and allows people to contact others without even having to approve an incoming message. So you really never know who you're talking to. Another name popped up during this investigation: the possible father of Mekayla. Mekayla's friends had remembered different things that she had said about her dad. One said she thought her dad was dead. Another said that she had talked about wanting to meet him but didn't know who he was. So there are conflicting stories that she told her friends. So there's a man named Rick, and he thinks that he is Mekayla's dad, but he's not 100% positive. Paula let CBC News know that there is no proof that Rick is Mekayla's father. Rick stated that Mekayla never got in touch with him. He also doesn't think she ever knew his name. Rick said, quote, "When Mekayla went missing, it was about 5 days later that the RCMP phoned me up and asked me if I knew where she was, and I said no." End quote. Rick said that 3 months later, 2 RCMP plainclothes guys showed up at his Saskatoon house, searched the whole place, and took DNA samples. He said the officers then searched his mother's house the same way. RCMP said there is no evidence to suggest that Rick was involved in Bali's disappearance. Rick even started his own Facebook page separate from the one started by Paula, in order to spread the word in hopes of receiving tips. As of the 22nd of August, 2019, Mekayla had been missing for almost 3.5 years. In 2019, the RCMP believed she could have been in Edmonton, Alberta, and they were looking heavily into it. The family felt hope again, and that they would be reunited with their Mekayla. 2 weeks prior, the 22nd of August, 2019, a male in Edmonton rang in a tip to Mekayla's mom, Paula. She said, quote, "He came onto our Facebook page, looked around, and looked at the pictures of Mekayla, and he goes, 'Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's her,'" end quote. He said that he thinks he met Mekayla back in March. She even used her real name, and he says that he had a conversation with her in the district of Edmonton's Capilano, outside of a club named High Run. He was outside having a cigarette while a pool tournament was going on, and that's when the conversation with possible Mekayla happened. Paula said, quote, "He said he had this vague feeling of her just being out of place there. His recollection is that she did use her name and introduced herself as Mekayla. He said she was very sweet, very kind, very gentle, naive. Those kinds of traits that he described to me seemed very much like how Mekayla was." End quote. As of 2019, there were missing person flyers all over Capilano about Mekayla. Not only was there a report from this man in Edmonton, but another sighting in the same area as well. As of 2019, there have been 600 or more sightings and tips that the RCMP have received. Mekayla's mother thinks these tips are being treated a lot differently than any others because of the way this man detailed this communication. However, Mekayla's mom didn't want to get everyone in the family's hopes up as well as her own. Paula said, quote, "There's a point when you've got to prepare your heart that yes, this may be good information, but we have to wait and see. It's that wait and see part that's the difficult thing." End quote. The Saskatchewan RCMP confirms that it has received this tip and says it's working with the Edmonton police to investigate it like the hundreds of others that have been received over the years. Paula said posters with Mekayla's face on them are circulating around Edmonton, and police there have searched places like homeless shelters where she might be. Paula said, quote, "The tip was back in March, so I'd like to have a tip that's a little more current. That's really what we're looking for, and if there's any possibility it really is her. Somebody has to know something. Someone can't just disappear." End quote. With everything that I've read, Mekayla, her mom, grandmother, and friends all seem to have a great relationship. There's speculation that she may have been groomed on the app that she was using to make the phone calls, and she met with a man that may have either kidnapped her, or maybe they could just be in a relationship. Maybe she knew her family wouldn't approve. Mekayla's Aunt Rhonda said, quote, "They say time heals all wounds. It doesn't heal a missing person's wounds. Your heart is still shattered. You learn to put a face on when you're not bawling with everybody, but you're so shattered inside that when you get up in the morning, your first thought is, you just don't want to get up. You just don't want to move. There's nothing to live for anymore. Your ray of sunshine is gone, and you have to try to pretend that you can go on. You have to force yourself to live what you might call living. It's not living. It's a suffer." End quote. Mekayla's mom talks about memories of her daughter, saying, quote, "Probably one of the most interesting things about Mekayla is she's so average, very sweet, shy, introverted, very dedicated to her family, and certainly loved her siblings. She has a younger brother and sister who are incredibly important to her. She was musical, and she just got into drama in high school, so music was kind of a way for her to step out of her shyness. But yeah, really, a very typical girl." End quote. Mekayla's Aunt Rhonda Bali says Mekayla did such a caring act for her birthday just before she disappeared, saying, quote, "She wanted to surprise me, so she got an accordion. She learned how to play Happy Birthday on it. She never played it before, but learned how to play Happy Birthday to me as one of my surprise presents. That's just the kind of girl she was." End quote. Every anniversary of her disappearance, the family always holds a candlelit vigil in Yorkton. Over 4 years and hundreds of tips later, they know as little right now as they did back in 2016, except for the sighting in 2019. The man that was outside of the club is completely positive it's her that he spoke to. Paula spoke about how there needs to be more support accessible for families of missing persons. She said, quote, "There's no support for something like that with missing families, and I know from personal experience, many missing families don't survive this. Early deaths, suicides, addictions, they're commonplace among missing families." End quote. What's extremely hard on Paula is how Mekayla being gone has affected her other children. She said, quote, "As much as it hurts to lose one child, I don't want to lose 3. She is still part of our family, but yet isn't. We still have troubles eating at the dining room table with a missing person, so we don't." End quote. Paula checks on her kids at school every day, and the children have been going to counseling. She said, quote, "I think their whole outlook on life has been severely damaged. The worst case scenario happened, So their expectations in life are that terrible things happen and that it's normal. My youngest daughter writes notes to Mekayla, so she takes them down to Mekayla's room and she puts them on her bed, or she puts them on her dresser. You literally pull the dresser open and it pops full of these little notes. And she makes her Christmas presents and says, "This is for you." And I think it's hard for her because she's beginning to forget her just a little. End quote. Her Aunt Rhonda said, quote, "Every single day since she's been gone, I've written her at least one letter a day. I've emailed her at least once a day because I believe that she is alive and she will be back. And I don't want her to feel like we didn't try or we forgot about her or did something like that. So every day I tell her how much we love her, how much we miss her, what we did and what our family did." Mekayla's family believes that during one of the candlelit vigils that it will instead be a welcome home party. Rhonda added, quote, "I pray that she gets to see the news and that she gets to see this, and I would tell her how much I love her, how much I miss her, and how much I can't wait for her to come back home." End quote. There's a website, bringmekaylabali.home.com, if you would like to give it a look, and I know that at least if you've seen her, that her family would find comfort in that. They still believe that she is okay, and unless they ever find out otherwise, they'll continue to believe she is safe. Now, I usually don't share my thoughts on things, and what I'm about to say may not be what people want to hear, but these are my final thoughts. There are actually people who do go missing on purpose and don't want to be found. The fact that she was seen in 2019 in Edmonton gives me hope that she is still alive but may not want to be found. She would be 20 or 21 years old now. I understand completely that the family and her friends miss her and want to hear from her, but maybe she just wanted to disappear and make a new life for herself. I know that's got to be a really hard pill to swallow for everyone that loves her, if that's in fact what she's doing. However, maybe one day she'll want to reach out to them. To leave at 16 is very young, which does make me wonder if she could have been groomed and talked into leaving. We may never know. All we can do is have all of these speculations and hope that she is okay. I know everyone wants to find her, but maybe, just possibly, she doesn't want to be found. I know we can't know for certain that that is the case, but I'd like to think that she's out there living her life and being happy rather than think the worst case scenario. My heart goes out to Mekayla's family and friends. I hope that one day you'll hear from your beloved Mekayla. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you want to reach out to me on social media, feel free to do so. You can find me on Twitter at ReveryCrimePod, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, that's all Reverie True Crime. And if you would like to send case suggestions, you can always email me at reverytruecrime@gmail.com. The majority of this month's episodes on the podcast and Patreon exclusives are listener suggestions that I have compiled. So, thank you so much to everyone that has written to me and asked me to look into disappearances and all kinds of cases. Y'all really are the best. And until next time, stay safe and stay healthy. I love ya.